Are we good? We're on? Okay. Let's get started. It's a little past 6. Welcome everyone to the Lincolnville Select Board meeting. It is August 28th. Mike, would you care to read the quote of the evening?
The death of democracy is not likely to be an assassination from ambush. It will be a slow extinction from apathy, indifference, and undernourishment. So says Robert Hutchins.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I would like to open the podium for any non-agenda items. Just raise your hand and yep, please come on down.
I'm Stacy Rossiter.
Hello.
And I live at 117 Heather Hill Road.
Hi, I'm Earl Brown. I live at 62 Heather Hill Road. As you guys know, back December 12th, you guys approved for Lincolnville Telephone to put poles up the road. Well, I've owned my lot since August of '83, and when we went into that subdivision, which on my side of the road it's the Bill Hardy subdivision, on Stacy's side of the road it's the Heather Hill subdivision. All utilities from the Maslin Road up were underground. We bought into the subdivision knowing that, and everyone else has put all their utilities underground. I think if you go up there now and you look from the Maslin Road up, all utilities are underground. What they're proposing, Lincolnville Telephone's proposing, is to set poles to run fiber optic cables. We're not opposed to fiber optic cable at all. We feel that if they buried telephone cables and power cables in 1982 or 83, whenever they did it, there must be a better way to do it now. There must be better fiber optic cable. Well, it wasn't fiber optic back then, but it must be better cable that can be direct buried, put in conduit. I know that all of us, at least myself, well, most of us all have our utilities on the Heather Hill side, not on the Bill Hardy side. I have conduit run across the road to accept that if it comes. I know that the new owners of the lot that I sold just did it weeks ago, put conduit back across the road. What we're asking for you guys to do is to revisit the application that you approved on December 12th and take into consideration the covenances that are on our lots that were put in place by Matt McMullen, who did the Heather Hill subdivision, and Bill Hardy, who did the Heather Hill, the Hardy subdivision that we're in. That's what we're asking. And in the meantime, we'd like to get on the agenda for the next select board meeting to discuss this further. And we're also requesting that you contact Lincolnville Telephone and tell them to not set poles until we have a chance to discuss this further. And keep in mind, we're not opposed to fiber optic cable. We just feel there's a better way to do it.
Understandable.
I'd like to add that on the Heather Hill subdivision side, we know of 7 out of the 8 lot owners that are opposed to this, speaking with the neighbors. And the Heather Hill subdivision covenants require underground utilities, and that all 8 lots agree to any changes, which is never going to happen. It also undermines the investments that have been made by these lot owners over many years. A lot of people paid a lot of money running underground cable off that road. And what's next? Are you going to run it up to when Tom Hardy sells his lots? It's not fair.
And that's another thing. I've talked to Tom Hardy. He's his father did the Bill Hardy subdivision. Of course, Bill is not with us anymore, but Tom plans on doing something with that lot above, and he's opposed to this as well. And Stacy drew up a letter on Wednesday, and I went around and talked to the neighbors. I wasn't able to talk to all of them, but the majority that I talked to agreed that we should come here tonight and talk to you folks about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming and bringing this up to us. I know, as you know, sorry. As you know, I know you're aware that the board can't engage in a dialogue or make decisions during citizen forum unless it's,
Right.
public safety, life, limb kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I think it's great that you want to get on the next agenda. And then that way we can have, because we have a new board member that wasn't part of that decision back then. And so we will want to come, prepared with all of our information and be able to let it settle so that we can engage in a meaningful conversation with you.
Well, and that's what we're at.
Yep, yeah, so great. So, David makes notes during the citizens
Yeah.
forum, so he'll make sure to reach out and, get you on the next agenda and get whatever
Yeah.
information that we need to gather to go in this thing so that we can have that chat.
And Stacy's great for information. She's got copies of the deeds and the covenances, and we've got letters from some of the property owners that wanted us to come here, It's
Yep.
not just her and I talking.
Sure, yep, yeah,
We're
so,
just the messenger.
So-
I'm aware also that the subdivision ordinance in Lincolnville states that new subdivisions have to be underground. I don't know why this would be
Yeah.
any exception.
yeah, so,
And-
so stay in touch with David, give him any of the pertinent information, so that, we can get it the several days prior that we get our
Right.
packet, and then we can have a good chat.
Right. And again, we're not against fiber cable, we're not against whatever they wanna do, but it's gotta be underground, in our opinion.
Yeah,
And the majority of the lot owners.
okay. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to speak for any non-agenda items? Yep, please come up to the podium.
Okay, we're part of this subdivision. In fact, my wife Lois and I are on lot number 1 of the subdivision, which is the first one you see as you come up the road.
71 Heather Hill Road.
And, I'm glad to hear that the support for high-speed fiber internet. And a question I can't answer and only Lincolnville Telephone Company can answer is, would they be willing to bear the expense of burying high-speed internet? Now, as the first lot up the road, it turns out that if these poles go in, they're going to go in the public right-of-way, as I understand, and directly adjacent to our property. And I have no objection to that whatsoever. It's going to be, Lois and I are going to be looking at them, and that's fine with me, because I've been waiting for years and years to get high-speed internet. I'm a professional software developer. The fact that we don't have high-speed internet available has been presented difficulties at times. Now, I understand the importance of covenants, but in this case, I have to consider that the requirement that services be buried is well-meaning, but out of date, unless it turns out that the Lincolnville Telephone Company is willing to proceed and bury cable at some expense that those of us who are going to benefit can afford.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else care to get up and speak?
I'll vote to speak for it.
And-
I'm Lois Lyman, 71 Heather Hill Road. That's my husband. And this is a town road that we're on. And there are 2 lots who are right across from us, also on that town road, that have lousy internet and have very poor phone service. And they could use those poles without spending a lot of the extra money necessary to get them buried. They do not have those covenants, so.
Thank you. So if this is regarding Heather Hill, and so given that this isn't a conversation that the board is engaging in, if it's a new and different point that you would like to bring up, otherwise, given that there's been expressed interest in getting on the next agenda, a more constructive place to have this sort of conversation would be during the agenda item at our next meeting. So just if it's a new and completely different point, I will welcome anyone to come up to the podium. Please, and introduce yourself and your.
Okay, so I want to, can you waive that, because this is about Heather Hill?
Well,
and I remind-
come on up to the podium. The board doesn't engage with the audience other than via the podium.
I'm Marilyn Thorell from 68 Heather Hill. I moved there in December of 1996. I absolutely love living there. I love living in Lincolnville. Earl came to my house the other day and brought me a petition to sign, and it was that, actually, I guess I won't bother to read it, but do you want to know what the petition was? Anyway, I won't go into
We would love for that to be included with the information
makes
so
sense.
that we can consider it and review it and all of that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he came and we sat out on the porch and all, and I really, really would hope that we wouldn't need telephone poles ever on our road. And I like the country look. I don't mind it. There's no street lights at night. You know, the moon's shining, the stars are out there and all that stuff. But for myself, and my home, and my daughter and son-in-law who live next door, and all their children grew up here in Lincolnville, it's too expensive to do any repair with underground wiring. And I just found out that some of our wires got torn because of the movement of rocks underneath. Maybe when the road was put in, I don't know what the damage, they don't know where the breakages are. But we're talking about great, great expense here of digging up the road and digging up the property and putting in new copper and new conduit to put around and all stuff. Very, very expensive. And then you're not guaranteed it's going to improve anything. So we have poor use of our land phone, our cell phone, our internet, and what's the other thing? The TV, because they all chew with the internet. And so I spoke to Jim at the telephone company, and he said that this would be at no cost because it's all aerial. It's, you know, through the air with lines and all that stuff, and as long as you're within 250 feet from the telephone pole, there's no expense to anybody. And so I'm facing a big expense, and my daughter, we can't afford this. And then to worry about it, the rocks shifting again and causing, I know where the telephone man said they had a man who had conduit, but they had missed a section, the conduit wasn't together, and so they couldn't fix it, because first of all, they had to find out where the conduit didn't match, because whoever put it in didn't line it up right. So he says it's no guarantee if we go spend all these money that we spent back in 1996 to have this done, how many years will it last and all. Whereas the aerial, they can come in a moment's notice and fix it usually, is what Jim told me at the telephone company. So I've decided that I personally can certainly bear a telephone pole, which I will be looking at from my house, directly across the street in front of Lois and Ross's house. And of course, it's town, and then I remind myself too, it's town road, it's town property that the poles are going on. And this will help not only me and my family, but it'll help those people in the future too who want to have better service. And we're entitled to better service, but we can't get it because we can't afford keep worrying about these lines. And then I've been told my lines somehow are under my paved driveway going to my daughter's house and across the street, so the street would have to be dug up, my driveway would have to be dug up. I mean, it's just a total mess. So I would just like to ask you please to consider those of us who would have great expense and just now repairing, and everybody else who needs better service. This is the way to go. And we know that some people have already installed their own poles, so I don't know who the 7 or 8, because that wouldn't be, I don't know, but anyway, all I know is that I think and he said it'd be cheaper for anybody and everybody, including the telephone company, which would keep their expenses down and our expenses down if we let them go ahead and do this. And they're ready to move. And I guess they brought poles up before and somebody complained and they took the poles away. But they're ready to move, and they said within 2 weeks they could probably get the poles up, and within 2 weeks from that they could probably get the lines run. And right now they've got our home phone gets transferred over to our cell phone, which could be handy if you had good cell service too through the internet. So it's just a mess. So I would appreciate, and I'll be back for the next meeting too.
Perfect. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone's input tonight. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for any non-agenda item? You do have, sorry. We want all the folks listening at home to be able to participate.
I'm Cheryl Milner at 66 Heather Hill Road, and I want to say we just lost our phone lines this week. So we do not have any phone, and our internet can go out anytime too. And we've spoken with Jim. He's the one that was trying to help us about like 6 months ago, trying to get poles in to help us with the internet. I do work at home, so I do need the internet. It is important to me. And my house phone right now, like my mother had said, our house phones are linked to our cell phones, but we don't even get good service, you know, on certain parts to even have my house phone ring to my cell phone. And I know there are some people on our roads that do have poles. I won't get into that right now. So again, I don't know who the 7 are that are against not having poles, but I know it's very important for us, for Alvin and I, to have it for our business and, you know, our cell phones and internet. I know it's been recommended for us to get a different type of internet service, but I disagree with that. We have it here available in Lincolnville, and I want to support them, you know, with our phone service with them, because they're always there when there's a problem, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I just want to stress, we do not have a house phone today, and my internet could go out anytime.
Thank you. And I encourage anyone who's interested in this conversation to stay in touch and pay attention to our agendas, which we publish, oh gosh, Thursday?
That's the goal.
Yes, Thursday. Hence the deadline to get information. Yes. So make sure that you're staying in touch, and we'll have a conversation. Anyone else wish to address the board for any non-agenda items? Seeing nothing, let's move along to the administrator's report.
Shall we give a pause for a moment?
Yes, and you are welcome and encouraged to stay. We love having people in the audience, but we won't be upset if you wish to leave at this point. I mean, it's thrilling stuff.
We're just there to support our neighbors, that's all.
All right, well, feel free to gracefully duck out if you want to.
And we will.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
Okay, David, the floor is yours.
All right. Just for the board's knowledge and for people at home, we have a culvert under Moody Mountain Road that's in tenuous condition, I guess is the best way to put it. The pavement's been cut as of today, and Friday morning after the morning rush, the road will be closed to through traffic. Everybody will be able to access their house from one way or the other. But basically from High Street to Hope Road will be closed while we replace that culvert. It's deep, so we can't really do one half of the road at a time, so we're gonna shut the whole road, dig it all up, put a new one in, and Friday afternoon, hopefully in the afternoon commute, you'll at least have a gravel surface to drive across. Again, that's Friday, weather permitting, but it sounds like Friday's weather's gonna be good. Hopefully everybody noticed when they came in, the carpets here at the town office were cleaned the last week.
Sparkling.
Nice to have done. I guess we're gonna talk about it under 13, but select person Hand and I conducted a number of interviews for the Public Facilities Director in the last 2 weeks, and we're gearing up, believe it or not, for November elections. A lot of behind-the-scenes early work is being done in the office, and it's referendum, for anybody that's curious what's coming up in November, it's referendum only, with a number of ballot questions that you can access through the Secretary of State's website, and not too distant future through ours as well. And outside of that, I'll just leave it on the agenda.
Any questions for David on the administrator's report?
Yeah, I got a few, I guess, yeah. A few, sorry.
Lord.
But they're all kind of wrapped together, so you do like one answer, probably yes or no, works. Anyway, last meeting we asked, the board asked for you to follow up with Citizens Forum, Nick Heel and the Harbor
Yep.
thing. Did that happen, you know?
I followed up and got no request to be on, anything to be on this agenda from.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
thanks, yeah. Also, have we heard anything from LCI about their schedule? Has it changed, their schedule putting wire in down at the harbor? Is that the same, are they still on board with
Oh,
that?
for the camera?
Yeah, for the camera,
they're-
for the fiber, yeah.
The last I was aware, they were going to have it done before the end of the month, and our electrician is got a lift lined up for not the first week in September, that has, not next week, but I believe the week after, to actually mount the camera and make the connection and do the computer stuff that's
Oh.
beyond me.
Okay,
That's
cool.
the plan,
That's the plan, yeah.
as of the last I
As
was
of
aware.
today.
Subject to
Yeah.
change, but I'd like to report on I won't report on the 11th that it's done, but
Yeah, okay.
unless they move up the schedule, which doesn't seem to occur nowadays.
Yeah. Last question, but this is not, but we just heard about it. Have we heard any, has the town been approached by LCI in the past about their expansion plans? Other than Heather Hill Road, which we're hearing about right now. But, I mean, have they come to us and said, we're planning to do this, that, or the other thing with our broadband expansion recently?
Not
Okay,
recently,
Yeah,
not since
okay.
we met with them, whenever we met with them.
yeah, okay.
I believe they're still doing minor expansions because of citizen requests
Yeah, right.
paying for, but
Thanks a lot.
Ern, you had a question for David?
Yeah, I just was looking for an update on the roofing and the little projects between Penobscot Park and the, Breezeman. I'm searching for that word.
it's all right.
Sorry.
The roofing at Penobscot Park is done, has been for quite a while.
Yep.
Breezemere continues on a slow pace. Our contract has a deadline that is, I believe, in early October. But I anticipate that they'll be done prior. But
Wanted to give them
what
more
I-
time.
Well, my only concern with that is what if we had events scheduled or somebody wanted to use the place and they've got shingles stacked up inside, which is
Yeah.
neatly done, but, it'd be good if that was
we haven't,
wrapped up.
yeah, we have not accepted any reservations for that
Yeah.
for all summer. I mean, we still have, hope that plan on, our cleaner to be in this week to power wash the underside and the deck and the rails and whatnot in preparation for staining, which will be done after that.
Okay.
I think the things can go on simultaneously. In an ideal world, they've been in and gone and we'd have done the rest of the work, but the ideal world hasn't come together. We originally gave the contractor ample time so that he knew they could get it, or we thought we could get better quotes by giving people time to get the work done.
Yeah.
Hindsight might have been, once you start, stay at it, but
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you afterwards too, because I'm noticing that there's been some boats tied up at our those are the boat clubs, boats, or somebody
At
just
the
threw
Breezeman?
at us. Yeah.
You good for now?
I'm good.
Okay, any other questions for David under the administrator's report? Seeing none, let's move along to upcoming meetings and announcements.
All meetings are here at the town office, unless announced otherwise. The Athletic Infrastructure Committee meets Thursday, August 31st, 5 p.m. Comprehensive Plan Review Committee, Thursday, August 31st, 6:30. Town office will be closed in observance of Labor Day on Monday, September 4th. Lincolnville Central School Committee is scheduled to meet Monday, September 11th, 6 p.m. And the Select Board is scheduled to meet next on Monday, September 11th, 6 p.m. here at the town office.
Thank you very much. And are there any upcoming community events anyone wishes to share? Seeing none, let's move along to we have a single set of meeting minutes from the 14th of August.
I move the board approve the August 14th, 2023 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And moving rapidly along, we have a liquor license renewal application for the Youngtown Inn, which we have a representative here tonight from. Does anyone wish to ask any questions of the applicant for the renewal?
Good to me.
If there are none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the liquor license application submitted by Camino LLC doing business as Youngtown Inn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks.
We'll have that at the counter tomorrow morning.
What's that?
We'll have it at the counter
Yeah,
tomorrow
we'll come
morning.
pick it up. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great evening. And we also have a liquor license renewal application and extension for the Lincolnville Lobster Pound. We also have a representative here in the audience for that. Does anyone wish to ask the applicant any questions?
I have one question. I just noticed having the two liquor license applications next to each other, that the map, I forget offhand, I should have put a thing in on it. It doesn't really show the drawing, doesn't show the level of detail that it says it's supposed to, and I just wanted to make sure that that is something that we're okay with.
Sure. Yeah, would you care
Oh, okay.
to come up to the podium? That way all of our adoring fans watching in TV
It's
land
my first
can-
time doing this, and I didn't know whether that was
That's fine.
copacetic.
Sure,
I'm
absolutely.
Joe Cloud, I'm the general manager at the Lobster Pound. I just photocopied the map that they used for last year's application. So I can do more detail if I needed to, but I assumed since it was okay last year, I just took the same one.
Okay.
And it's not originally I thought we needed an extension because our license actually expires tomorrow. So I'm taking this over to Augusta in the morning.
Fun.
So I thought we needed an extension, but that also had to be signed off on, so it was a moot point. So it's just the two liquor licenses that we need the renewals on.
And I think that's really, it's just, we see that word extension and it's like, wait a second, is there something different that we need to keep an eye out for? So thank you for that clarification. Does that answer your question, Rob?
Sure.
Any other questions for the gentleman?
No.
Thank you so much. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that the board approve and sign the liquor license application submitted by Lafayette Lincolnville LLC doing business as Lincolnville Lobster Pound.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much, and thank you for coming in tonight.
Any chance of getting that tonight?
If you want to stay around till the end of the meeting,
I live in Augusta, so I'd rather do that than drive back in the morning.
I'm going to venture a guess the meeting may go on longer than you think, but
Would the board be amenable to just signing it now and?
Sure.
Fine by me, yeah.
We've approved it. Typically, we do all this at the end of the meeting, but,
It's buried in there somewhere, sure,
Driving back
yeah.
in the morning before.
yeah, understandable, especially, yeah.
4 spots. Although you said you don't need the extension anymore?
I think I lost the extension there.
That's the extension.
There's
Okay.
a duplicate copy of the extension too.
But only a single copy of the application.
I don't know, keep signing, I'll figure it out.
They seem, this seems thicker.
It does seem thicker. Two things together.
Okay.
That seems really thin,
Are we,
because we keep
doing
this
this?
copy for ourselves and then use the cover sheet
Oh,
on
we
the signature
stamp it?
page.
David typically fills it out, but I think since he's waiting to take it away.
I think if you just sign, I'll fill it out while you're working on the next
Okay.
agenda item, how's that?
I think that was it.
This
Yeah.
is our copy.
And then that's the second.
There you
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, the answer to your question, is the map sufficient? It's buried in there. The application gives all the criteria for denying, the map is one of those criteria.
But on the instructions for the map, it says it should be as detailed as possible and show locations of,
To pen
different stuff, and it literally is a
Thank you.
black box on the entire interior.
All right, so
of the
David will
restaurant,
fill
which
out the
shows some
balance of the
pigtails
stuff that we
outside.
need, yeah.
No, it's
It doesn't seem to fit what it says, but.
Okay, so we've signed that, we're good, we'll just sign the other one as per usual at the end of the meeting, and if there's nothing further on that, we'll move along. And in order to move along, I need an initial motion, please.
I move that we suspend our meeting as a select board and that we convene as the Board of Assessors.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much. David, do you wanna speak to this briefly at all?
Sure. You have three things before you tonight. The first is the municipal valuation return, which is just a series of data that the state of Maine requests from us in order to receive our reimbursements for the various current use programs, and it fills in the data that they use in Augusta for whatever purposes they use them for. And it needs to be submitted before, I believe it's November 1st, and if we don't do it, we don't get our money, so.
We want to.
And all the data, it's just a summation of data that the assessors agent puts together for
Yep.
you all.
Yep. So to that end, I'll entertain a motion, please.
I move that we approve and sign the 2023 municipal valuation return as prepared by the assessors agent.
Second?
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Yes,
I have a question.
yeah.
Page 1, down under the homestead exemption, I just, I wasn't aware of this 14C and D. The exemptions granted for homesteads valued less than the maximum, so we actually have 2 homesteads in town, neither of which is even valued at 25,000. That just seems really unlikely to me in this day and age. I didn't understand what that meant, so I was hoping for clarification.
I believe that we actually may have 2 mobile homes on leased land that qualify for homestead, but don't exceed the.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's just for the home because the land is leased? And
Correct.
because it's, okay, okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Or questions, rather? All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And then we have 2 abatements. Any questions for David on those? If there aren't, I'll entertain a motion for the first, please.
I move that the board grant abatement number 2023-01 to Windsor Chairmakers in the tax amount of $180.83 to correct an error in the record.
So moved
Second?
and seconded. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And we have a final abatement as well.
I move the board grant abatement number 2022-02 to Sewell Orchards in the tax amount of $306.15 to correct an error in the record.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And in order to move along with the rest of our business, I need a final motion there.
I move we adjourn our meeting as the Board of Assessors and reconvene as the Select Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much. And moving rapidly along to the Waldo County Budget Committee ballot. David, do you want to speak to this briefly?
Sure. There's a vacancy on the Waldo County Budget Committee in District 1. There are 3 representatives from District 1 that gets to serve. Robin has one of the seats, as does somebody from the town of Waldo. They're trying to fill the vacancy, and nobody was nominated at their budget caucus, or whatever they call it. And so you can only have one from any of the towns that are in District 1, so we can't have a second. So I reached out to all the other towns that didn't have one and said, anybody you know of that might be interested? And the only positive response I heard back was from the city of Belfast, who said that Mary,
Mortier?
yes, was interested, and so I passed that information on for you to do with it what you please.
Does the board wish to make a motion?
I move the board cast its Waldo County Budget Committee ballot with a vote for Mary Montier of the Belfast City Council.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much. And David, do you want to talk about yourself again?
So as mentioned earlier, we're going to have, or the state's going to be conducting an election on November 7th. We're required for the town clerk to appoint somebody to serve as election warden. I think I put in the qualifications for what that election warden needs to be: a U.S. citizen, at least 18 years of age, a registered voter of the municipality, and not an officer of a municipal committee of a political party, and not on the ballot or have an immediate relative on the ballot. And so the town clerk has designated himself as election warden, and hopes that the board, I guess I hope that the board confirms that. If they don't, I'll take the day off.
Please don't. Would the board make a motion, please?
I move the board approve the town clerk's appointment of David Kinney as election warden for the November 7th, 2023 election.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you all very much, and thank you, David. And moving along to select person updates. Kern, do you have an update for us?
My update is that I will have an update for you after Wednesday evening, because we have a Midco Solid Waste Board of Directors meeting. And you have our, in the packet, we have the minutes to our last infrastructure maintenance meeting, which is going well. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. And Mike, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, I do also. Yeah, also in our packets in C there, you'll see MCOG has published a schedule of events that they're, workshops that they're having. Many of the times and places are to be determined, but the dates are determined. Anyway, there's a couple coming up that we might, the town of Lincolnville might be interested in, simply because, well, we should all be interested in every one of them perhaps. But there are 2 planning board workshops coming up we might want to let the planning board know about. First is tomorrow, though, and so it's short notice. But nevertheless, it's kind of a reprise of the MMA workshop that they give. And I don't know how much new information the planning board will get. The second one, which is on September 6th in Searsmont, has to do with the planning board's working with LD 2003, which might be helpful since we just changed our ordinance to that.
That's great.
Other than that, I don't got, that's it.
Okay, thank you for that, though. Steve, do you have an update for us?
The only update I have is a question regarding I'm having trouble getting the Wednesday date regularly free for potentially serving on the Salt Waste Committee. this Wednesday I have not been able to get it free. I have a meeting I have to attend. So I just wanted to make that aware and see if we need to make a change there or not as we look forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly it's, well, I don't wanna speak, perhaps you should speak to this, see how you're,
Well,
have
obviously,
the senior
we-
tenure on the,
Well, we all, you know, the expectation is to make all the as many meetings as we can, but we also know that everybody has a life. There are prior commitments, so let's try to work that out if we can, and if not, then we'll do something different, but,
Is it a-
tomorrow night is election of officers, but if you can't make it, you can't make it, you know.
and is Wednesday a mandatory thing, or could the meetings be on a different day?
Not necessarily, and that might change anyway, so not, not gonna get too wound up about it right yet. We'll see what the new board does.
Okay, does that
That's fine.
satisfy you for
That's
the,
fine for now,
for
yeah.
now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And if we need to
If it
revisit
doesn't-
it,
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yep.
That's fine.
okay, sounds good. Robin, anything?
I do not have an update.
Okay, and I as well have nothing. So I see we have our applicant back again. I'm guessing we missed something.
So sorry, just a question for you. When I got back to my car, I realized that I thought I had to do the extension originally, and when she handed me back the extension, she actually handed me back the off-premise license, the person at the front desk. So you didn't have the off-premise, and I don't know if that one has to be signed as well. You actually ended up with the on-premise and the extension, but you should have had the on-premise and the off-premise.
I don't know what the board wants to do with the license that they haven't looked at.
Yeah. So, what wasn't probably caught on microphone or camera, was that there was a mix-up in the applicant receiving forms, and so what didn't make it into our packet for sort of due review was the off-premise license.
And I'm happy to bring that one back at the next meeting if I need to. The on-premise
Sorry,
extension.
I'm gonna at this point, I'm gonna have to make it,
There we go,
I can
sorry.
only break my own rules for you so long.
On-premise license expires tomorrow. Y'all sign that one, I've got that. The
Okay.
other one, if I need to, I can come back.
The-
The day that I brought the licenses in to
Yep.
have them signed, or the applications in.
Yep.
There was some confusion if I needed to have the extension or not. We decided I didn't. She handed me back the wrong one, and I never looked at it. I stuck it in my briefcase and walked out.
Gotcha. So
And
your
so-
dates are okay for our next select board meeting,
When's the next one?
the 11th of September?
This says it expires on the 3rd of September.
3rd of September.
Well,
What do we do?
Well, if
yeah,
that's a,
this would be
That's not a
this
full
would be an
copy.
application that we have not had the opportunity to review, and it is most definitely our habit to not accept information at the 11th and a half hour, unfortunately, but, I'm concerned as it was partially our fault
Right.
that there was this, so I will defer to a consensus of the board what we wish to do right now.
It is a renewal. It's not new. That's all.
what are the
I get-
ramifications?
Right.
If it, is there a penalty, or do you,
Yeah,
We
Well,
can't serve alcohol to go.
yeah, and
To go.
I
It's-
certainly don't want to
And they'd have to start the
cripple.
application it would be,
oh, by missing the
It
renewal,
starts
it
over from
starts
here.
it over
it would be
fresh?
a bureaucratic pain.
Well,
Do we
my-
have any of the supporting documentation available in the building?
So he just brought it in, so we could, if
We
the
can each-
board wishes to take the time to review it.
I don't mind, yeah,
Um,
sure,
And
definitely.
it is a renewal, so it is something that a previous board has,
We could
We
review
could
two
look
at a
at it
time.
together.
There
yeah,
you go.
sure, yeah.
It's pretty much a rehash of
Yeah.
the
yeah,
on-premise, but
Right.
it's just a different form for,
Yeah.
It's the same
to
information,
go.
just
Right,
another fee.
sure, yeah.
But it's just malt liquor and table wine, it's not, because didn't you have a full liquor license for on-premises?
yeah.
But off-premises, it's not liquor, from the look of this, unless I read it wrong. malt liquor and table wine.
Right, to be able to sell it together, but the way the liquor law has changed right now, after COVID, is you can sell cocktails together.
Yep.
So it's really kind of a moot point. We sell very little together.
This, that's in blue ink.
I don't see anything amiss. Well, we apologize for any confusion.
I'm sorry.
That's no
I
problem.
appreciate you guys doing this. I thought that the corporate office renewed the licenses, and lo and behold, the day after it was too late to submit it for your last agenda, I realized that it was supposed to be done locally, so.
Yep. Yep, and the deadlines are certainly immovable,
Yes.
for sure. So, signatures, you need 3 on this, or you want all on this, David?
Well, if you're all gonna vote, it would be good that you all signed it.
Okay,
Sorry.
so,
Do we need a motion?
yeah, thank you. I didn't sign anything yet.
I'll read
Would
it.
someone care to make a motion,
I'll make a
please?
motion. I move that the board approve and sign the off-premises liquor license application submitted by Lafayette Lincolnville LLC, doing business as the Lincolnville Lobster Pound.
Second.
Perfect. Nice motion. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor? Thank you all very much. And we'll work this through the line, and David will fill out the balance, check to see if we made any mistakes here last minute, and then send you on your way.
I appreciate it.
Sound good?
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I'll just send it your way for now, and then I think you can just below there.
Oh, so quiet.
I know.
We need a musical interlude.
Well, doing important business can be quiet also. Alright. D. Michael Ray, and just below, they only allow for one line.
There it is, here we go.
Oh, we have to print too.
And let me know if I did that wrong, David.
Oh, they'll just send it back from Augusta with.
Please no.
Will that serve?
Works for me.
Okay.
Who am I missing? Oh, oh, that's good.
We don't have to date it.
Well, guess what? We may date it anyways.
Did you see it's, we sign in blue ink?
Good luck.
I appreciate it.
Leave that.
Oh, and then you were asking about the diagram. I actually, it's funny, because I was thinking, looking at the diagram for their application is so much more detailed than, I would say, 75% of the applications we get. We get some pretty,
Well, it's just the Youngtown Inn, is like,
sort of
the only
stick-
thing they didn't have
stick-
were actual stairs drawn in to
Yeah.
go between the,
Yeah.
the basement and the main level.
But
And this one was just like, here's our box.
you'll see everything from stick figures to beautiful portraits and everything in between, but it's totally valid, to just ask the questions, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. And ultimately, the state is the one that would come down the heaviest on that, or sort of the intermediary in the level of importance of who the heavy hand of judgment is with the application. So we have the treasurer and payroll warrants to approve and sign, and I do know that we had a question about the page that we just received because of staff vacations, et cetera, and so, once David's done making that copy, we can just clarify, what looks like a duplicate in check numbers. So,
On the warrant.
On the warrant. One in our packet from 8/22, the last check is 2065 to the treasurer, state of Maine, and the first check on the 8/29 is the same check number.
That's a good catch. Good question. I have no answer for that one at this moment.
yeah, cause Kayla would be the one to be able to, I wonder if it's a transposition of,
Well, they're all in order is the thing.
Mhm.
It goes from 2057 to 2065. So it does imply that the next one would be 2066.
mm-hmm. Is it possible that they're different accounts, David, or different?
No, they're actually check, those are the actual check numbers. So that is,
Do we have access to
Yeah.
check register?
Mm-hmm.
everything but what I want. Well, I tell you what, how about you approve all the warrants except for that one that you got handed today? And we'll pick up the pieces and put it on your next.
Are these folks gonna get paid if we don't?
These folks are going to get paid because we're going to figure out what the check number thing is and then circulate it around for at least one of your signatures.
David will have
That's
to run
allowed by the-
around.
Okay.
Is allowed by
Okay.
your policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will disregard warrant 15 from this motion until we can get clarification. So would someone care to make a motion, please?
I move that the board no, that's the wrong one. I move that the board approve and sign the treasurer's and payroll warrants, except for warrant 15.
Okay. So moved?
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you very much.
So I'm going to
Wouldn't
take
it
the,
just figure?
yeah, I'm going to take the sign here tab off, maybe I'll just take that one right out of the book so that you don't all.
There you go.
Yeah,
Get,
that's safest.
no offense.
And if there is no further business, we have an executive session for consideration of employment.
I do have some further business.
Okay.
It's good, yeah. I would like to, give everyone a heads up that I plan to ask to be put on the agenda next time for us to have a conversation about maybe getting in writing clarification of what you did so well when Citizens Forum just happened.
Mm-hmm.
That the board is not able to respond, engage in conversation about what's said.
There's a little clear packet in
Oh,
there?
no, I know it's part of our policy, and I wouldn't have signed off on it if I didn't understand the reasons for it. Oh, yeah, definitely. But I was wondering if we could perhaps have a conversation about adding that in writing to our agenda so the public knows ahead of time. So they're not, because remember what happened.
Yeah.
Might be a good idea if everyone knows ahead of time, not to expect conversation. And I totally understand, like, for the perfect reasons why we don't do this. Anyway, I was thinking maybe we could, if the board wanted to, it could insert language in its agenda, printed agenda, or however. Or is that already on the agenda? Like the back of each agenda has that?
Back in one we make available to the
I
public.
did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I just see ours.
Right.
Summary of public
Okay.
participation that
Well,
was
you know,
adopted.
Perfect.
And never mind, you're not gonna see that issue. I never
You
looked.
take it back.
I never looked at,
he just said.
I never look at that paper, so what do I know? Okay, so now I know.
Seems to be the theme. Hopefully this theme will conclude with the next motion.
Okay, I get it,
Anything else, Mike?
yeah. No.
Okay.
Sufficiently embarrassed, I don't know.
All right, so in order to attend to our final piece of business, can I please have a motion?
Move the board enter executive session pursuant to Title I MRSA Section 4056A regarding consideration of employment of the public facilities director.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Thank you all very much.
Just for the benefit of the gentleman that might still be here, I wouldn't anticipate any votes by the select board except to come out of the executive session and adjourn. But
Yeah.
if that changes,
Yep.
we'll be in touch.
Have a great evening.
Take care.
Should we pass these along while he's
Oh,
getting
yeah.
Yeah.
set up?
Yes, thank you, Robin.
You too.
Good night, Melissa.
Good night.
Oh,
Oh, Melissa, you might wanna check your account because your check number